Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are excited to be back with you again. We have a great episode for you today. It's another guest host episode. We are excited to have someone else here with us today to drop some knowledge on you. I'm actually super excited about how we're wrapping up this year. We're going to have our special guests today, who I'm sure will have some really great things to bring to the table. Plus, it'll be funny. And then we're going to finish up the year with our very own president, Brandon Anderson. So a couple good episodes to look forward to as we wrap up 2024, a whole full year of Easy Does It.
I can't believe it's been a whole year.
I can't believe it either.
It's insane, man.
I know.
I think if I counted right, I think by the end of the year it'll be episode 27.
Wow.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
I know.
What do you think about that, Mark?
I think it's pretty exciting.
Heck yeah.
I think this is episode 25, so we're going to end on 26. $100.
I don't even know why we invited you.
I don't either.
Listen.
And the build-up that Meredith gave, we'll see.
Listen, so one thing I have to say before we get too far into it is I do have to say thank you to Mark, because he is an avid Easy Does It listener. Always gives great feedback and always has things to say about the podcast, which I really, really appreciate. So I don't know that there's an episode that you've missed. So if anybody were going to know what episode number we were on, it would be you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Really enjoyed them. I really have.
Good. Next year we're gonna amp up this listener crowd. That's what we're going to do next year. Get this out in front of more people.
It's going to get amped up since Mark's on here now.
That's right.
We'll see.
We're going to lose shares.
Okay.
I bet everybody has turned it off at this point. Like, it's that guy.
Okay. What is our Would You Rather for today, Rob?
Okay. So before we kick off the Would You Rather, Mark Cagle, we have to introduce you. We have to introduce our guest.
Yes.
So this is my brother from another mother, number one. We look the same haircut. His little beard hairs a little long today. I'm going to trim them up, but they look luscious. They look good. But Mark is our HVAC service director. Mark has worked here at Morris-Jenkins for quite a long time, and his pathway through tech builder, being a tech, moving to supervisor, and ultimately landing in the role he is has just been a really cool journey to watch personally for me. Me and him have been great friends throughout our entire time here, both in and outside of work, and I am so excited to have him on today. This is gonna be good today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Who came first?
Rob.
Just by a smidge.
You were what, 2010?
Yeah, 2010.
Yep. I was June of 2012.
Oh, y'all grew up together.
I rode with Rob.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
We got to spend a little
He
time.
had red Oakleys on, and I'm like, who is this guy?
I'm so sad I lost those.
Listen, I'm not. That's not surprising to me.
Those are my favorite glasses. Now I got blue ones.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
not surprising in the least.
Yeah. Are you ready for this Would You Rather?
Sure.
Let's
roll.
do it. Okay.
Oh, boy.
So I told them at the beginning this one's similar to one in the past. I just want to see if Meredith has a change, and I want to see where Mark is at with this one. So would you rather be in the zombie apocalypse
Oh Lord.
or a robot apocalypse?
Well, so see, I mean, we've already established that I'm not making it out of either scenario. But the thing about zombies, though, is that they don't move that fast. Are we talking robots like that don't?
I'm thinking full.
Are you talking
Terminator,
like
Skynet?
Okay. So if it's this type of robot that's like can move fast and has has guns for arms, then absolutely I'm going to take my chances with the zombies, I think, because am I correct? Because y'all know I don't watch any of this type of television. Zombies just like lumber. They
You
just
would think.
walk.
Yeah.
You would think.
Unless you're on watching 28 Days Later, and then
they're
it's
quick.
completely different.
Yeah. They're conditioned. They can run.
Yeah, they've done their cardio.
World War Z, conditioned.
Okay, I'm gonna just go with the zombies that I know, and I'm gonna say zombie apocalypse.
Okay. But we know that you're going to make it alive in either case.
That's right. Only if I have my trusty. Remember, because we did ask each other if you got to pick one person.
Yeah.
to go with you to the zombie apocalypse. Remember, I chose Thor.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
there we go.
Mark,
Zombie apocalypse.
what makes you pick that?
Robots are very smart. Zombies are kind of dumb. I need a sharp stick to take on a zombie. You ain't taking down a robot with a sharp stick.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
I would survive. I really do believe I'd survive.
Did you watch, what was it, The Walking Dead? Did you watch that whole series?
I watched Walking Dead all the way up to probably the last season or two. I haven't watched any of the spinoffs.
Yeah. I've only watched a little bit of the spinoffs, but I really enjoyed it. There was a couple seasons in there that kind of got a little,
Yeah, they were reaching.
yeah, I didn't like that, but then they kind of picked it up. But Kathy, in the contact center, she used to watch it avidly. We'd watch it at the same time, so we'd come back in and talk about it each week. But it was a really good series for a long time there. But like I said, there was a couple seasons that were like, meh. It's
yeah.
okay.
What caught my interest is I saw a preview where zombies started whispering, and I'm like, what is going on with this? It wasn't zombies, but it was people dressed up like zombies. If you haven't seen it, I just ruined it a little bit for you. That's okay.
Totally.
But no, it picked back up. It really did. But there for a while, it started just reaching.
Yeah. I feel like even Terminator, like the Terminator series was like, it was interesting because all the human race had to go underground just to get away from. In my mind, I always think like the robot apocalypse would be like that. Not like dumb robots, slow moving, the smart ones.
Yeah.
I've never seen Terminator.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. I've seen bits and pieces, and I know like the highlights, but I've never seen it.
How could you?
I think about iRobot with Will Smith.
That was interesting.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. I think they're coming out with, what was it called? I Am Legend 2. Did you see with Will Smith?
Yeah.
They're coming out with another
Was that
one of
zombies?
those. Yeah. It was kind of like a weird virus that they made. It was supposed to solve cancer, and then I guess the testing phases weren't fully complete, and then a bunch of people took it and turned into zombies and then turned the whole city into that, and they had to shut it down, and he went in to try to like do research. So it was kind of interesting how that story played out, but apparently they're doing number 2. But have you seen the picture? No. They like posted a picture and he looks like he's part zombie but still himself, which is interesting.
Oh.
So it might be.
I'm really impressed that you knew the whole premise of that movie. I've seen it once and I couldn't tell you what it was about. It was a dog.
You know, Mark, listen, my wife tells me all the time that I told you 5 times what we're doing this weekend. And you can't remember that, but you can remember everything about I Am Legend. And I'm like, when you have talent, you have talent.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
It's a special place.
I'm in the same boat, but typically with music.
Music? Mm-hmm. I know we're going to talk about your music later.
You don't want to talk about my music.
Yeah. I was just thinking that this morning because I was listening to my playlist called 90s Bangers. I did not choose that name. Spotify chose that name. But I was thinking the same thing this morning. How can I remember the words to all of these songs? When some of those songs, like, everybody who's attended an MJU class knows that I'm a 90s hip hop, rap fan. But these are like not even that music. I still know the words. How is that? Sometimes I can't remember what I walked into the kitchen to do.
Oh, I do that all the time.
That's interesting. I have poor recall when it comes to lyrics. My wife and my son, and my daughter too, they can hear a song once or twice and then just start singing it. Mm-hmm. Sarah can come with some Dishwalla, I don't even know some of these 90s bands that she listened to.
Dishwalla?
Wasn't that a band? Google.
I never even heard of that.
I'm pretty sure Dishwalla was a band. And she just knows all these lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you know this? And then I hear Landon in the background. I'm like, bro, how do you know this? I've heard this song 7,000 times. I couldn't tell you anything other than the chorus.
It's so funny that our brains can do that. I don't know how that works. I would like to know.
Dishwalla is an American alternative rock band from Santa Barbara, California.
Yep, Santa Barbara.
Okay, so are you picking zombies too?
I forgot about that.
I feel like that would probably be the better pick.
Yeah,
because
sometimes Rob likes to pick the other one just so that he can say the other side of the...
Look, I want to survive. I'm not going to get taken out by some robot.
They got stamina. They can go.
Yeah, they just don't end. It just never stops.
Yeah.
The zombies, I feel like, even if it's hear me clearly say 28 weeks later it's a scary moment to be in when you know you can't just jog and beat them. Because I feel like even The Walking Dead was one where, like, you have a chance of surviving unless you get trapped in a building with them.
I'll speed walk.
Yeah, I'll just speed walk up out of that piece with Mark's sharp stick.
They're coming out with a 28 years later. I did see that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that's gonna be interesting.
I didn't watch any of this.
You should.
We need to have like a movie day at work. There's a ton of movies I'm surprised that some people just haven't seen.
Terminator.
Like, yeah, I've not seen that. I haven't heard of that. I have like a uncanny ability to remember a lot of movie lines and different movies from when I was a kid. But then again, I can't remember anything else. I have to like repeat what I need to go get out of the kitchen as I'm walking in there because I'll forget it. That's how bad it is.
I just hope that none of this ever comes true. That there's no zombies, that there's no robots. Do y'all ever think about that?
I don't know. AI is becoming a real thing right now.
Like that we talk about these things and like in knowing that, I mean, right now I'm thinking never will I have to even make this choice about robots or zombies. But then it also feels like it's not such a stretch anymore for me to consider that maybe not zombies, but
what do y'all think about like how close AI is coming to?
I feel like I'm in a rebellious stage with AI.
Same.
I've definitely used it and it's great. And some of the stuff is scary great. But I feel like how far does that go? Like how far do you think AI is going to go before it's like, okay, this is becoming a problem?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think there's a limit. I don't think there's an end point.
Somebody was just saying they were having to take a test and they asked AI to help them. It was for, I forget what test it was for, but it was like his daughter said, "Oh, Dad, let me help you with that test. And am I going to get in trouble?" Because he's like studying for something. And he's like, "No, anything you've done in the past, I'm not going to judge you on." And she's like, "Okay." And then she's like, "If you just ask AI to give you a study program on whatever subject it was, and then ask it where to tab each one of the pages and how to study for this properly, it'll tell you." And so he did it. And he's like, it was scary how accurate it was on what pages, what things were on, how to best study for it, how to tab your pages even. He says it was really freaky. He's like, I don't know where this continues to go from here, but
I think Wall-E, that Disney movie,
Yes.
it told us where it's going. There's less effort to get things done. And when there's less effort, people are naturally chase comfort. We're eventually going to be floating around in these floating wheelchairs
hover
with
chairs.
limited muscle mass and limited critical thinking ability and pressing a button to get a milkshake or whatever else. I think Wall-E predicted the future if we're not careful. I really do believe that.
Yeah. I need to watch that movie again.
Oh, it's a great movie.
that's
Yeah.
a classic.
Yeah, it is. So let me just make sure that because like I said, I'm in a rebellious, I don't want to accept this stage right now with AI. You know how I feel about ChatGPT. So the way that I understand this is like I put in something into Google, let's just say, and then the responses I get are AI generated, meaning it scoured the internet. Like
Basically, it's
real
a quicker
fast.
Google search, yeah.
Okay, and it gave me the bullet points of what it found.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm just making that to me in thinking about how it works doesn't sound so terrible.
Yeah, I think AI is, we're looking at it now with Chat, GPT, Google. I know Microsoft has their version. I don't remember what it's called. What it is to me, it's a very fast Google search. What would be scary is if 2 years from now, you open up your Google search the day before Thanksgiving, and it automatically throws a handful of recipes that you searched 2 years prior. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
To me, that's the learning feature of AI.
Right.
I don't think we're seeing that on what most people are using.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it is making sense.
I'm just making all this up. I'm kidding. I'm not.
No,
Yeah.
but if you think about how often, what's scary is when you are talking to somebody about something,
Yeah.
and then you turn your phone on and you go search something else, and then the ads pop up of the thing that you were talking about.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's already learned. That's the learning. There's already this algorithm out there that is already learning. And so now those two things kind of coming together, the AI and the learning algorithms, I totally can see how that would be. You searched this last year on this date.
Like
Why are you tracking me like that?
How do you think AI is going to affect the heating and air and plumbing trades moving
It's already
forward?
the HVAC trade, the trades in general. There's one that's, I'm not going to name the company, but I've gotten a handful of phone calls from some of their sales reps, and I know it's real big on just through the industry, where you basically are, AI is listening to your interaction with a homeowner, and then it's coaching you. Not in the moment, I don't believe. I haven't tested this, but it's coaching you after the fact of the inflection, the choice of words, cadence, whatever. And I'm like, that's a little creepy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right now, I think with its current state, it's very faddish, but I do see AI being more and more prevalent in, is that the right word? Prevalent?
Mm-hmm.
Making words up?
Yeah.
Prevalent in our space for sure. There is an app, I will name this app. There's this company, it's called Blue-On. Blue-On has an AI function, they call it Master Mechanic, and it's actually really nice, where you can do a general search and it just gives you all the information on it, but the more specific you get with a technical issue, it does take you down a troubleshooting path, and it can and does save a lot of time for individuals in the field. There's a lot of other features that go along with it, that Master Mechanic, but they're taking real searches and interactions from thousands and thousands of technicians across the nation and basically like putting the information in an easy to search form.
Yeah.
I have yet to be, not happy with using that Master Mechanic.
Yeah. How do you think human interaction with others, like people talking to people, how do you think that will be changed and shaped in the future with the fact that so often people don't like to talk to each other? Like, how do you think that will look in the future?
I think we are seeing a good taste of it now, of what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Since COVID, I noticed just dealing with individuals in public, food line, wherever, there is, and this is just from observation, it is rare to have someone who appears to be younger to wow you with their communication skills. And typically, I will pick at Food Line. I live really close to Food Line. I think I'm there 19 times a week. But there's a handful of cashiers where I'll stand in a longer line just because I know it's going to be a more pleasant interaction with that person.
Sure.
There's this one kid he's a senior in high school. I don't remember his name. I should. He is the nicest kid, and he's bright-eyed and just very friendly. And it's not just with me. I notice it with every person that he talks to. And I've didn't know his name. I'm going to learn his name. But getting to know him just through the interactions, he's not a gamer. He is somebody that's outside and out and about. He's very active in his youth group, and he plays sports. And I think with that alone, you can see a big difference in how he communicates versus another individual who doesn't spend as much time around other people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The types of people that I feel like go the farthest are the ones that have good communication skills.
Absolutely.
Sports play a big piece in people's tenacity, the ability to push and drive themselves. Just understanding that you're going to lose sometimes, you're going to win sometimes, without the expectation that you have to win all the time. Like I'm not a big believer in everybody gets the trophy. It's like, look, if you suck in a game, like you lost, right? Oh. And so I feel like those experiences teach you a lot. Something that I heard from Dewey a long time ago, thinking about, something that I learned from one of the conferences that we went to. Brandon came back and he divulged some information, but just the fact that customer experience is the battlefield and speed is the new currency, and just understanding that the experience that people are desiring and wanting out there, they're just not getting a whole lot. And so when you have a service company come to your house to help you out with something, I mean, a lot of times you don't expect it to be a great experience, and then when it is, it's like, oh man, that was refreshing. I mean, that makes such a big difference. That I know that stuck with you, that statement. It's always stuck with me. But what's maybe something from Dewey maybe a Deweyism or something that you learned here at Morris-Jenkins that's impacted you ever since you heard it?
There's a lot, but one that does stick out to me is Dewey was getting ready for a departmental meeting. This had to be in 2017, 2018, and Meredith and Shallon they gave me a title of entertainment director. Because anytime there was an issue or somebody needed help with the computer system in our meeting room in Champions Hall, I'm right around the corner, so I get summoned. Dewey came and he was like, "Mark, can you help me a second?" I was like, "Absolutely, Dewey. What do you need?" We had to get tables rearranged and set up, and I'm grabbing a few, and we were in the middle of a tech builder session, so I grabbed a few of them, and all of a sudden Dewey comes and he helps me move his table. And I was like, "Oh, Dewey, I appreciate that. Thank you." He goes, "Mark, work is easy at the hands of many." And that's all he said. And I'm like, wow. It is about teamwork. It is about working with others. So always in my mind, I'm like, work is easy at the hands of many. But you got to have the right many, the right people rowing in the same direction. We got to believe in the same thing. We got to understand the vision, understand the calls. And that's what's pretty awesome about working here, because work is easy when everybody's rowing in the same direction. It's fun.
Yeah. I think it's hard, particularly I think in the role that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
I won't speak for you. I would speak for me. I do believe 100% that work is easy at the hands of many. I think sometimes it's hard to let go of the control. Mm-hmm. Maybe, the delegation piece of letting the many in. Yeah. And letting them take over things that are like super important to you and to your department and to the company. What has that looked like for you? For people like me who have a hard time letting go, particularly when things are important, and a lot of the things that you oversee, and I mean, they're all really important. What does that look like for you to be able to let go of that and bring the many in and let them help make the work easy?
I'll say this, that there's a lot less things now that I'm very protective of. I'm protective of everything, really, in the organization. But as far as certain tasks, I used to be a little bit of a control freak. Anybody that works directly with me would understand that. But, living through the fundamentals and understanding more of why do we pick certain fundamentals to be ever present here. And first break all the rules. One thing that has always stuck out to me was define the outcome and not the steps. And what I've learned over the years is if you have a solid outcome and the expectations there of what the outcome is, people will surprise the heck out of you at their abilities. It may not be the path that you would take, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely okay. And I have embraced that heavily over the years. To the point now, like if a technician calls me and they're like, and we're in a, is this fair, is it not fair type situation, and they're like, "Hey, what do you want me to do?" My response, understanding the situation, my response now is more, I trust your judgment, do what you think is fair. Mm-hmm. And when we say fair, there's that triangle that we're trying to aim for is it's fair for you, the individual, it's fair for the company, and it's fair for the customer. And I've yet to run into a situation where somebody has called and I said, "Hey, I trust your judgment. Do what you think is fair." Where I went back where I was like, bad decision. Mm-hmm. I can't recall a time where I was like, that was a bad decision. Because people will surprise you when they're empowered. They will surprise you with their efforts and their abilities. And I just think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. In First Break, it makes me think of, we do this in the class. One of the one of the sections that we read is basically that if you expect the worst from people, then the worst is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that holds true in the opposite way too.
Yeah.
Right. If you expect people to make the right decisions and trust them to do so, then I think the majority of the time they do. It's about giving them the trust and trusting that they're going to handle it the right way, assuming positive intent.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's probably more people than we think that listen to this podcast that probably have struggled or are still struggling with the same thing of wanting to control the outcome of like, I want to have my hand in everything. And it sounds like for you, trusting other people, like giving them that trust and seeing the outcomes of that has been one thing that you've done that's helped. Are there any other things that maybe could help our listeners master or at least push and row in the right direction of not becoming or not feeding into that control freak type of mentality?
Oh boy. Top of mind, I think listening is an element that is missing a lot of times. When it comes to listening, I think everybody in this building can repeat this. You're either listening to understand or you're listening to respond. And listening to understand, if you train yourself, because I feel like you have to train yourself to listen well. When you listen to understand, number one, it leads to better questions. And when you ask better questions, you're not giving answers directly. You're encouraging the person across the table, the person you're talking to think and to rationalize and to be a product of their own conclusion. Jim Rohn says that often, be a product of your own conclusion.
Be a product of your own conclusion.
All that stuff's true, but it really starts with listening. And listening gets better when you have a better relationship with that person. And I think all that stuff works hand in hand. Trust. For me to trust you immensely, there has to be a relationship there. And I'm not talking about like the relationship you and me and Rob have, or me and Meredith have, because we have a really good relationship. But there are some people I don't have that level of a relationship with. I still trust them until they give reason not to.
Sure.
People don't wake up saying, you know what, I'm just going to jack up every decision I make today. There's a lot of good effort that goes into small decisions, big decisions, and we need to be okay with that.
I would imagine, and going back to the control aspect, I guess there comes a time where you're just like that. I can't control it all. Like there would just be no way.
There's no way.
And so I guess maybe going back to our control freaks, on that listen to the episode, myself included, I think that maybe they're just also there becomes a mind shift where you're just like, I just cannot control everything. I would spend my whole life trying to keep everything just right, just so.
Yeah.
If I don't let go of some things and trust some others, make the work easier at the hands of many, right?
Yeah.
Just trust other people to be able to do it. I feel like we've talked about this on here before. One thing, even in my personal life, I can't control if something happened. Leah has swim practice today. Well, if she doesn't have all of the materials because I didn't make a list and give Michael the list and remind him of the list and remind her of the list, then she just shows up without her goggles.
That's on her.
I have to, at some point, relinquish the control of that, and just leave it up to them to navigate it, because I would spend every waking moment trying to figure out how to navigate everything for everybody in my family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think I tried to do that for a long time.
I think you have to for a while.
Yeah. I mean, your kids have to have everything they need. The family has to have everything they need to go do the thing. And if they're not going to take accountability for it, then it forces you to. But then where does that end?
Right.
I mean, where does that go? I mean, you can't be there for everybody all the time. They eventually have to learn that challenging aspect that, I didn't prepare for it. And so I have to reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, just this weekend, we go out on the softball field every weekend. Let's just say it's every weekend. We go out on the softball field. Honey, did you bring any snacks? Did you bring anything that you might want to eat? We're going to be out there all day. I don't really get hungry. I'm like, you might want to bring something. And I would just pack stuff for her. There was one that I was like, it's on you. And then I get there and then it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. And she's like, Daddy, I'm hungry. And I'm like, well, what did you bring? I brought a bar. I'm like, okay, we'll eat that then. And then she comes and sits down and the parents gave me such a hard time. They're like, you didn't bring anything to eat for her? She's starving. Charlie, come over here and we'll get you some stuff. And I'm like, child, that's what she brought. Like, that ain't on me. I'm trying to teach her a lesson right now. And then she ate all this food. So then this past weekend, it's the same thing. It's like, if you want something to eat, bring it. Because we're not going to the concession stand. Like, it's just up to you to bring it. And what we have is gonna be healthier than the hot dog and hamburger that that you can eat at the concession stand anyway. But I don't know. Mark, you said something earlier, listening was important, asking better questions, can help you with that. And I feel like of anybody here at Morris-Jenkins, you're probably the number one person here that builds solid relationships. Like, I think there's a lot of people here that have good relationships with quite a few people here, but your reach is so far and so wide with so many people here. I don't know that I could ever find a single person here that would say a bad word about Mark. And so, what do you feel like your secret to building those relationships? What would you say that might be?
I pay them.
Very
No,
nice.
I'm kidding.
Very nice.
I don't know. When I say I don't know, I don't know. I appreciate the kind words. Humility does kick in, and it is hard for me to. I couldn't say what you just said about myself because a lot of times I don't see that reach being as far as you mentioned. I listen. I do. I really do listen, and most of the time I listen. I fail at listening if I feel like I'm under pressure, I don't listen well. But I've learned to recognize those moments and reflect on a conversation that I've had with somebody in that moment. And more often than not, I am going to circle back with them and own the fact that I know that I wasn't giving them my full attention. I do believe people appreciate that. And there's probably people listening who's like, yeah, that's happened to me. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't just chalk it up and say, well, that's on them. If they feel that way, whatever. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't believe I'm a people pleaser. But I do believe that I give as much respect as possible in the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people dancing outside this office right now.
I see and hear them.
Me. Adrian just walked by and just came back, threw funny face in the window. So if I'm rambling, whatever. But back to the question you just asked. I don't know if I necessarily have a secret. I don't have a tactic. In the moment of a conversation, I'm not thinking, ooh, I'm really going to do this to build a relationship. I guess it just happens.
I mean, it just sounds like it's a natural thing for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, my entire life, if somebody wasn't talking to anybody, I'm going over to introduce myself because I understand that a lot of people do feel uncomfortable in some situations, and I'm like, what can I do to help them feel comfortable?
Yeah.
What can I do to help them feel welcome?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do an activity in bringing out the best in people, and this comes up almost every single class, where I send them off to just observe what's happening in the building. What do you see people doing? And they have to jot it down because what we're talking about is what's happening at work is what's being reinforced at work. If it doesn't get reinforced, it stops happening. So undoubtedly, when I have this class, some people come back and they say there were technicians outside of Mark and Randy's office. And so I always ask the question, well, why do you think that is? and people do what they do because the way it makes them feel, right?
Mark's paying him.
Right. So that why do you think people stand outside or there are techs crowded around Randy and Mark's office? And we kind of talk through, well, because they feel like they can be there, number one. Number two, if they didn't felt listened to and heard when they were there, they would stop coming.
Yeah.
They wouldn't gather around your office and Randy's office if every time they came the door was shut. If every time they came you gave them a few one-word answers and sent them on their way. Mm-hmm. People keep gathering around your office and Randy's office because there's something about that feels right. Because they would stop doing it if it didn't feel right. So going back to this, like, maybe you can't put your finger on exactly what it is, but it's the thing that makes people feel like they can come stand at your door, ask you a question, you're going to listen, you're going to give them a response. I think that's one of those things where it's like, I can't really quite tell you exactly what it is, but people keep coming back. They keep standing at my door. So there's something that keeps people doing that. Otherwise, they would stop doing it because we don't keep doing things that we don't get something out of. I think another thing, well, I'll just tell you what I appreciate. I think another thing could be this, the way that you deliver things honestly, but respectfully. You know, I think that's another thing that you do really well that I don't think everybody quite kind of understands that's possible to be 100% honest and 100% respectful. Do you think that's a talent of yours, or do you think that's something you've developed over time?
Oh, I've developed it, and I would sugarcoat the heck out of something years and years and years ago, and I sometimes find myself currently where I'm like, man, I'm sugarcoating this a little bit. I am more direct now, and I try to lead with, being respectful. And sometimes I have to frame up a conversation. I won't go into details, where I'm like, for the next 30 to 60 seconds, you're not going to like what's coming out of my mouth. This may sting a little bit. And obviously those are closed door conversations. But just in general, I feel that most people do not want anything sugarcoated. Just give it to me straight and not be raw, but just be real. I think false hope is created way too much when people sugarcoat things. Mm-hmm. And I've had to work on that very hard. It's been easier, I feel like, for me to work on it because my wife Sarah is a 99D, and she is the realest person I've ever met in my life. And there is zero sugarcoating, regardless of who you are, whether it's me, whether it's our kids. She had a client. I'm just going to put this out there. She'll probably be pissed.
These are the best moments.
She had a client recently that was just complaining, basically. I'm not going to give details to rat this person out. Nobody y'all know, probably. I don't think. Anyway, this client was saying this, and Sarah's like, listen, I use good color. I've used the same color. I use the same process with all these clients. I think it's you. Right now, I really do. I think it's you. Because there's nothing that has changed on my end. You need to figure some stuff out. Because what you're saying doesn't apply to 99.9% of everybody else that comes and gets the same thing done. You might need to find somebody else. And I'm like, I love it. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it because she was right, 100% right in that moment. So obviously next year will be 15 years married. So I've been exposed to a high D for a very long time. And Brandon Anderson he doesn't sugarcoat. And I've been working directly with him, since I've been here at Morris-Jenkins, and I'm thankful for the relationships that I have with Brandon. Jonathan's also a high D. Alan's a high D. And if you sit back and listen, it's just like, man, they get so much done in half the words. That's pretty cool. And they do it respectfully. Mm-hmm. So it is a learned behavior, I do believe.
Yeah. There's a book called Radical Candor. Have y'all heard of that?
Yes.
Have you read it?
I've listened to bits and pieces, yes.
Yeah. I really like their the model they had. It's kind of like a T shape, and it's like, how do you deliver feedback to somebody? And, there's the sugar coated, kind of low impact. Then you have like way too abrupt and blunt and jerkish, right? It's just like, I don't ever want to talk to you again. But then the blend between the two is being forward with somebody, but being kind.
Yeah.
Like you're just, and I think that's a perfect depiction of the type of feedback and conversations that you have. Like you're very friendly. People hang out outside yours and Randy's office because of the type of people that you guys are, the value that you guys bring. I mean, if you weren't bringing value and people didn't like spending time with you, then they wouldn't be standing outside your office, or they'd be standing outside of one of y'all's office.
Yeah.
But then the other side of that is, I know you've given feedback to people, and it may not have been what they wanted to hear, but it was what they needed to hear. Mm-hmm. And then the relationship, I think a lot of people think the relationship is going to get worse when you give them that feedback, but in fact, it gets deeper and better because you're giving them the thing that not everybody would give. And they know that your intention behind it is true. It's like, I just want to help. Something that I've heard you say often, I hear you say it in meetings. I hear you say it when you're talking to other people. And the funny part is I start to hear it with other people here at Morris-Jenkins is it's just people helping people.
It's just people helping people.
That's all we're doing. And that's all that I see you doing is helping people constantly.
I try. I really do. And I think once somebody gets past my RBF, I hear it a lot. God, when I first met you, I was like, I'm going to avoid that guy. He looks mean. He looks mad. I'm like, listen, if you catch me going down the hall, I'm over here thinking like, man, what's for lunch? Something. my face doesn't reflect that at all. I do hold eye contact fairly well, and I think that makes people feel a little weird. I'm staring over this mesh right now.
Too well.
But no, it is. It's just people helping people. It only works if both parties involved are willing to make it work. I'm sure there are individuals that they don't put me very high on the list because they didn't want to make the relationship work. And vice versa. And I'm talking about through life. I'm not talking about just here at Morris-Jenkins. And I don't know where I'm going with that. People helping people.
Well, I think there's always people that you're going to meet that you just don't jive with. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't appreciate the feedback. There are some people I would agree with your statement you made earlier about most people want you to just shoot it straight. It is most. But there are some that I've asked, like, do you want me to sugarcoat this or do you want me to just give it to you straight? And most people will be like, just hit me, man. What do you got? And I appreciate that. But I've had a couple, they're like, I don't like that. Can you just sugarcoat it? And I'm like, okay. I don't know how many people have actually said that, so I'm going to really give this a go. Mm-hmm. But it's tough. But not everybody's going to like that. Yeah. And same thing with like disc and communication styles. Not everybody likes or appreciates what other disc styles, like how they behave and how they communicate, mm-hmm. or they just don't understand it. I think the more you understand about that, the better it gets. And I do think it's absolutely crucial, the thing you said earlier about feedback. When you give it to somebody, it goes way better when you have a relationship.
Yeah.
Otherwise, It's just like this person's giving me feedback, quote unquote, and I really don't respect them. I don't value what they're telling me. You're skeptical of the information they're giving you because it's just like, what's in it for them? Aside from the fact it's like they're really legit trying to help.
Yeah.
And so, people helping people.
Mm-hmm. I want to, if I may, because I do feel like this people helping people thing, you should trademark that.
Trademark it.
Make a shirt.
Oh, yeah, we should. I would wear a shirt. So if we take people helping people back, as far as Mark wants it to go back, my guess is that people helping people is what helped you get to where you are
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
And then now what you've done is you've become, not that you weren't always on both sides of that coin, the people helping people. And I think now you're in a place where you have the opportunity to do a whole lot more of the people helping people because you are interacting with so many people daily.
Yes.
So going back in the day, what did that look like for you growing up, people helping people? Who helped Mark become who Mark is today, people helping people? And then now, what does that look like for you in this role?
Oh, man. How far back?
Loaded.
I know, that was a
Loaded
triple
question.
that was a triple question.
Listen, I'm on the backside of life now, statistically. I'm
Oh
old.
my God, if you are, then I'm ancient.
Yeah, you're a lot closer than I am.
Look at that radical candor.
Ain't nothing I don't already know.
Listen, I'll tell you, stuff comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I should have said that.
With my, what did you call it, Rob?
Huh?
My trick knee.
Yeah, it's my
Your trick knee.
Yeah.
Does it squeak?
Yep.
Yes.
It crunches. It's not good.
Yeah. Hey, my right knee crunches a little bit.
Yeah, mine too.
I blame it on my shoe. But I'm surprised we haven't had a censor button yet. So I've been on.
We haven't had
Yeah.
to bleep anything out yet.
Yeah,
No,
you're pretty
good behavior.
Usually it's me.
It is usually Meredith over there. We haven't bleeped anything out yet. We probably should. When we did the FFT last time, I was like, here it goes.
What does that mean?
Sorry, here's our first F word on the thing. Don't do it. Mark will be the one to do it. Mark will be the first one to do it. We're not doing that.
I know what it means.
You know what it means.
All right. I'm squeaking over here. Sound like Meredith's knee. You know, I would say going way, way, way back, and still to this day, you know, I look at my parents. I look at my dad. I look at my mom. My dad is, I say, if you've ever seen King of the Hill, Hank Hill from King of the Hill, that's probably like a really good example of who my dad is. He is the hardest working individual I have ever encountered. He's been with the same company since I believe I was 4 or 5 months old, so 38 years now, and he's still there. They offer overtime at 5 a.m. in a different department. I can call my dad at 5 a.m. and he's going to be there working, just getting overtime. And he's just been a phenomenal example of just, if somebody needs something, what you got? If it's possible, I got you. I've seen him step up for his siblings. This dates back to, you know, when I was a kid, all the way up to, you know, I've lost 3 aunts, 3 of his sisters in the past handful of years. And in those moments, it's my dad's the one that's been called on, because they know that there's not going to be any resistance. He is going to be there. He is going to help. It doesn't matter what time of day. I can pick up the phone. I can call my dad, and he's got my back, period. Now, if you look at my mom has such a sweet soul. And, you know, when just growing up, she just yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Nothing really financially, but, you know, there was always a good aim to make good memories and just to try things and do things and experience things. And I see that more now from my mom when it comes to my kids. Ever since, you know, she found out she was going to be a grandmother, she has been right there. She has been supportive. I feel bad sometimes because I know if I call my mom and I'm like, hey, Sarah and I, can you come hang out with them for a little bit?
Yes.
I know she's going to say yes. Yeah. And if she's ever, you know, committed to something else, it makes her feel really bad to say no.
Sure.
And, you know, I try to be as grateful and let her know how grateful we are for how much she has stepped up in our kids' lives. You know, we love all the grandparents. Sarah's mom, you know, lives a good bit away from us. But really, it's my mom that steps up and handles things when our lives are chaotic, and they're pretty chaotic as the kids are growing up. So I think that's the first two examples. And I'm gonna go back. If you hang out with me enough, you know that I'll talk about my wife a good bit. That is my best friend. Sarah she's one of a kind, and there are countless examples of people calling on her directly, and she does not hesitate to jump in and help. Anytime there's a natural disaster or some type of relief aid needed for whatever, you don't even have to mention anything. She's already, if she can't donate time, she's donating money. And I think everybody needs a Sarah in their life. I really do. We were sitting down one night, this is a couple years ago, and a good friend of hers got some bad news. And it was late. It was probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's late for us. We're old.
Preach.
Without hesitation, like without announcement to me, she runs upstairs. She's changing clothes. She's going. She is the most selfless human I've ever met. And those are phenomenal examples of individuals where I'm like, wow, zero hesitation to help. And I think that's pretty powerful. Mm-hmm. I really do. And just great examples that I'm blessed to be around to this day. And then, I don't think we can go through a podcast without talking about the great Brandon Anderson. That is my mentor in life. And Brandon does not advertise his effects on people, like what he knows that he's done. Brandon saw something in me, and he believed in me. And Brandon turned me into a turtle on a fence post. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. You can see posters, but the premise of it is if you're driving down the road and you see a split rail fence and you see a turtle sitting on top of the fence post, how did it get there? I mean, somebody put them there. And I do believe Brandon has put me in the position that I'm in now just by believing in me, by giving grace, giving guidance, being direct, and just being supportive. So I love that I've had those individuals to lean on and just observe and just learn about. As far as being in a position now, there is nothing better to me, nothing better than to meet an individual with, I don't know why I repeated myself. It's all good. During the interview process for Tech Builder, and sitting down with them for 45 minutes to an hour, and just there's something, and there's so many examples in this organization that started with a conversation and just sharing the vision of what Morris-Jenkins can do for people. Morris-Jenkins gives nothing to nobody as far as anything. It just, the information is just here. It's available, and somebody has to put effort in and to be curious and to really just tap into Rob or tap into MJU or just sit back and observe other individuals. If you open your ears, my gosh, there's so many smart people here and so many resources here to accomplish anything you want, but it takes effort. It's not going to be given to you. But to have somebody and sit down and, man, they dream about taking their family to Disney. They're going to save up to buy a house, their first car, whatever the case may be. And then you fast forward, 12 months, 18 months, however long, and they come to you as like, hey, I need to take some time off. I'm closing on a house. My goodness, that gives me chills, and that excites me for a lot of people. On the flip side of that, it breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart when somebody doesn't grab the opportunity and chase their dreams and chase their goals, and they don't accomplish the things that they've dreamed about. They're not a goal if they're not doing anything towards it. It's a dream at that point. And when people give up too soon here, it kills me. It really does.
Is there something that you've noticed? I mean, you've kind of named a couple of those things, but what's the defining difference between the two of those individuals? One drives and pushes. Maybe it's something if someone here is like, hey, I want to aspire to do these great things. What's the defining difference between somebody that gives up too quick or just stays at the same level and somebody that excels and pushes on?
I've mentioned effort a few times. Everything takes effort.
Sure.
Chasing comfort. You have to get uncomfortable to grow.
Yeah.
Lack of curiosity. Ego. Jealousy. Somebody not living the core values. And when I say not living the core values, they're really missing the mark of what fairness truly is. And it has nothing to do with disc style, communication style. It has nothing to do with your background. You know, I'm the kid from a trailer park out in Bessemer City. And when I didn't realize I was from a lower income family until I became much older, because my dad refused to, and my mom refused to raise me with the mindset of, we can't do that, we're poor. It wasn't until I was, like I said, I was older where I realized, like, wow, there was a lot of sacrifices for me to have the childhood that I had. I used to ride on the school bus, and we'd pick somebody up, and if they were in a brick house, I immediately was like, wow, they're rich. I didn't know. I really didn't. I'm going to say a few more times. You got my thoughts. Y'all, my notepad is empty.
That's all right, dude. That's all right.
Yeah.
I think this is the first podcast, aside from maybe one other one, that I felt like it was better to come unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known you for a long time, and
I remember where I was at now. Go ahead.
okay, I've known you for a long time, and it's been one beautiful thing that's been cool to watch is your journey. Like, even from tech builder, and I know you talk about people helping people, but what do you feel like has been your key to success from starting in tech builder,
Yeah.
and then moving to a supervisor, and then moving into directorhood? I guess that's a word. Directorship.
Yeah.
Like, the people helping people piece is, I think, a talent of yours, and I think it's one of those things you do really well. But what do you feel like that key to success, or maybe there's more than one thing that's been a key to success for you?
Zig Ziglar says, and I'm going to butcher this quote, you can have anything you want in life as long as you help enough people get what they want. Something along those lines. When I came to Tech Builder, Landon was 11 months, almost a year old. He turned a year old a week after I started here. And I took a pay cut, and at that time, Sarah was building her business, her hair business up. She was doing some hair in our kitchen, very small list of clients, and you know, we had a mortgage. We had a phenomenal starter home. We were very proud of it. We had a newer vehicle. As we were, you know, obviously with Landon, we couldn't fit in the 2-door Civic. That was Sarah's high school car. We couldn't fit in that anymore. We took a pay cut. I took a pay cut to come here. And with that came a lot of sacrifices. And I'll tell you, without the support that Sarah gave me and continues to give me, I don't know. It was I went to Jonathan one time in Tech Builder, and I was like, I don't have any money. I'm eating turkey and string cheese for lunch. Credit card maxed out. I would take $20, pay the credit card, because I had to protect my credit, right? That's one thing I learned from my dad. Always protect your credit. and I would pay the $20 minimum payment, free it up on the credit card, and then go put $20 in gas just so I can come to class. That's an absolute true story. And I went to Jonathan one time. I was like, can I run parts? Can I come in on Saturday? Can I come in on Sunday? Can I run parts, please? I promise I'll make it worth it. And I was lucky that it was hot. I was blessed that Jonathan said, absolutely. And I was squeezing every hour that I could here because I had to. And there was a lot of things that, Sarah had to sacrifice too in order for me to do that. Was, when you're taking care of a kid, especially that young, you can't put a lot of effort into building your business up. It doesn't give you a lot of time to do that. And she was at home a lot with Landon. But I remained curious. And one of the few names that I learned right off the bat, and this is even before I got out Tech Builder, there's three of them. It was Nick Bailey, it was Rob Johnson, and it was Brett Sumter. And these are three individuals that they were talked highly about. They were celebrated even when they weren't in the room. And I was lucky enough, I rode with you, Rob. I rode with Nick, and I rode with Brett. And I sit back, I'm like, man, if so many people are talking about these three individuals, let me see what y'all got going on. And I took notes. I would finish a ride along, and I had a notebook in the car, and I would debrief what I saw that stood out and what was different from other people that I rode with. And I started trying things once I got out into the field. And Rob, you will deny this, but at one point you stopped taking my phone calls because I was wearing you out.
Hoping he wouldn't bring that up.
I still don't remember that.
Yeah. My conversations at the time, because I knew they were busy and they had their responsibilities, I called Rob or Brett or Nick, and I'm like, hey, I've got this situation. Here's what's going on. Talk about it. Go. Because I wanted to hear how they just immediately responded. And I'd be like, all right, 10-4, got it. And then I would go apply that. I've learned very quickly, I can't use Rob's words. I can't use his cadence. I can't use Nick's, or I can't use Brett's. I got to find a way to say it myself. And I started putting a lot of stuff together. And I started asking even more questions. And I think just trying and giving effort and being okay with failing often, and then correcting what I felt like needed to be corrected, started adding to my success. Mm-hmm. As a technician, when Brandon became the service director, I'd go to Brandon's office, and if there was a book on Brandon's desk, I would note it, and then I'd go buy it, and then I would read it, and I wouldn't tell nobody. For a while, I couldn't afford to buy the books, so I went to the public library, and they had a massive audiobook section. And if I found the author, or if I found that title, I would check that book out. I'm probably going to get sued for this. I would go rip that disc set into iTunes, and that's what I would listen to in between calls. And I couldn't afford the books, a lot of the books at the time, so I'd go to the library and check them out. And I think in 2013, I probably listened to close to 100 books. Not all of them were self-help. There was some trash novels, some entertainment novels. But then they're distracting me over here, pointing at each other.
Trash novels. I'm looking at Meredith.
Why are you some of my secrets?
But, over the years, I've learned you just need one good book and live in that book for 6 months.
Yeah.
So while I was priding myself, and I was learning at the time, but, hey, I've read that book. What was it about? It was a good book. You didn't really absorb anything. So,
was there any books that stood out to you over the years that did make an impact?
Maybe not so much books in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I discovered Zig Ziglar.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Tracy, and Jim Rohn.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play their audio all day long. I would write down things that stuck out to me. I would ask people about them. And really, it was not necessarily a lot of application at the time. It was mindset.
When you're immersed in it, when you're immersing yourself in it every day, your mind doesn't have a chance to go to this sucks.
Yeah.
My circumstances suck. I mean, your mind doesn't have a chance to do that when you're feeding it something different all the time.
No, I agree. I can't stand being around negative people.
Yeah.
I just absolutely can't stand it. But no, it was a ton of audiobooks and YouTube. You know, on my personal phone, because we had flip phones back then, but on YouTube, I had unlimited data, and I would just pull up YouTube videos of Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, and my goodness, they're all saying the same thing in their own way. And I think that I know that helped shaped my brain to be ready for more higher level learning, higher level understanding. What's unique about books is you can eliminate years and years and years of pain of having to learn something pretty quickly if you let it.
It's evident how often you've listened to Mark and Zig's tapes because
Mark.
I said Mark.
Bro, I ain't got no
It
tapes
is you.
out there.
It is you, brother.
This is the first time I'm being recorded.
Marcus Buckingham. That's what I mean.
Okay.
No, it's funny that you've listened to Zig and Jim's tapes enough to where you can match their cadence and tonality.
Of
course. Like you listen to it over and over again. I mean,
Apple a day.
you are what you repeatedly do. Yeah, he both of those guys, I know Jim was one of Dewey's favorite guys to listen to, and it's trickled down amongst a lot of people here at Morris-Jenkins, not just you and I, but a lot of the other directors and managers. I know Brandon used to always talk about it, and I wonder where he got it from, you know?
Yeah.
But it's funny you said that about mindset and what type of mindset we have all the time. There's a guy I was listening to this morning on a podcast. His name is Mark Cagle, and he was just talking about his career. He has nothing to do with anything that we do. He was an MMA fighter. He was in the military and all this other stuff, but he's being interviewed by another gentleman, and he says the power of words. He says, do you guys know what the definition of a spell is? And he says, essentially, all they say it is just powerful words that influence change. And he says, it's no wonder that we are our own worst enemies and create our own futures because of the stories we tell ourselves in our own heads. So he says, we create and cast our own spells over each other to either create success and future for ourselves or rob ourselves of that. So we're casting our own spells all the time.
You're a witch.
We all are witches. So it's really interesting. You know, you just said a minute ago, remain curious, and curiosity, just being curious. I know that's not a natural trait for some. It can be developed over time. And the more times that you're around individuals that are curious, you recognize what things they get into and stuff that they come across. And it's like, dang, if they wouldn't have taken that time to actually stay curious in the moment and got the answer to that versus just like, oh, I guess just that's the way it is. Or even when somebody says, this is just always the way we've done it. Like the curious person would be like, well, why don't you just change it? It's not working for you. Well, it's working okay. And it's like, why are you defending something that's like 70% effective? Why not what would it look like if we just were 100% effective?
Change is hard.
Yeah. It's painful.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Sometimes.
I know that Dewey talks about often the idea that you've got to be willing to change things even when they're working.
Yes.
And if you're not, then you end up finding yourself in a spot where the thing that's always worked has been passed over by the time.
Yeah.
And other people have changed things. Business has changed, the market has changed, and you're left behind. And then you're forced to change, but a lot of times you're behind the curve anyway. And so that curiosity piece is, I think, is a key thing.
Were you a reader growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was. Goosebumps.
Yeah. Oh my God. R.L. Stein. I love him.
Yep. Shout out.
What? Call us up, R.L. Stein.
Say cheese or die.
Yeah. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh Lord. It was never a firefighter. It was never a police officer. It was nothing cool like that. I wanted to be a country singer for a long time.
Can you sing?
I love that.
I can karaoke.
We need to do this.
Maybe lock. I'm just kidding. I ain't going that way.
Lock them doors in.
Yeah.
Dang, what a country singer.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, this is
I didn't listen to a lot of country.
Just a country singer. Why a country singer?
Well, let me say this. When I could choose my own music, I did not gravitate towards a lot of country.
Yeah.
Riding in the back seat with my parents, Any Man of Mine was playing. I knew every word.
Yes.
Oh, Shania Twain.
Yes.
You better be proud of me.
Dang.
Yeah. So,
But you better be on time. I'm just kidding.
well, that would explain the love of music. I mean, it sounds like
Yes.
there's been a love of music there for a long, long time.
Yes.
All right, those were just two random questions, but I want to go back to something because I do think this is something that I think is worthwhile for other people. So, your story to me is always, inspiring, for lack of a better word. I mean, you came from very humble beginnings, and I think it's easy for people to get past a certain point and start to feel like comfortable,
Yeah.
and then lose perspective on how they got there to begin with, you know what I'm saying? So it's like at this point, it was like, I don't have a choice but to tap in,
Yeah.
to put food on the table, to keep paying our mortgage. I don't have a choice.
Got to make it work.
Yeah. Like I think people a lot of times in that circumstance, well, we've talked about this before, a lot of times it's either woe is me, my circumstances suck, things will never change for me, the whole world is against me, right? The route that you took was not that. It was, let me look around, let me tap into every opportunity, every person, every book, everything that I can find, because it's going
to work.
I'm going to make something work. And so you got on that road. But to me, I think the cool thing is I don't feel like you've ever gotten off that road.
No.
So I guess my question is, what do you think has helped keep the perspective? Like, I've been given an opportunity. I'm not gonna, not blow it, it's not the right word, but I'm not gonna find myself in a place where I'm not taking advantage of this work that I put in, or this route that I've been given. Because I do think a lot of people can get comfortable once you get to a certain point and then let off the gas, or I don't know. I'm wondering what's kept you on that path.
I think I have a fear of failing my family. I cannot even imagine having to go home and saying, because of my choices and because of my lack of effort, I no longer have a job. We can no longer do this. We can no longer experience this. Like, that would murder me. Letting my family down, because I truly believe they are my reason to keep pushing, to keep digging, and to provide more and give them more, while helping them understand that this stuff just doesn't happen. And when I say this stuff, having the ability to, give them food choices they want, and allowing them to have the ability of having high-speed internet. And I know saying high-speed internet's kind of like, well, everybody's got high-speed internet. No, that stuff costs money. Even taking a vacation here and there and giving them experiences that I did not have as a child. Not that my dad didn't want me to have the experiences. It's just a lot of those experiences weren't possible. I'll never forget when, there's a lot of things that my kids are experiencing now that are a first for Sarah and I as well. And to me, I'm never going to take that for granted, that I have to continue pushing, I have to continue learning, I have to continue applying, tapping into resources, in order for these things, and it's not material stuff, it's just things, to continue. It is liberating. It's money makes things easier, and when you become more valuable, I'm not talking about myself, this is just in general. When you become more valuable in the workplace, you make more money, and when you have more money, you can do more things. You can stress less, and you can say yes without having to say no. And I actually was talking to the technicians about this, and a lot of people are in a situation where if something unexpected happens and they have to say yes to that for the next 30, 60 days, what are they having to say no to? Are they having to say no to paying their mortgage, saying no to paying rent, groceries, Christmas is coming up, whatever that situation is? And I'm terrified. I am terrified of putting my family in that position, which fuels me to keep becoming more, doing more, and that stuff just doesn't happen. It takes effort. Mm-hmm. It absolutely takes effort. It takes sacrifices. It takes discomfort. Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself in that comfortable zone where it's just like,
yeah,
because I sense from you, and I've seen it firsthand, like you have a fire.
Yeah.
Half the time the fire is so hot, it's like, we done? We good?
I'm ready to go.
It's so funny. Me, him, and Shallon, or I'm sure you've seen it too, we'll be in a conversation and his feet are moving, then he's like, we good? I'm out. And then he just roll out. I'm like, we're halfway through the conversation.
I had enough.
You have a fire all the time. Has there ever been times where you found yourself where it's just like, I'm comfortable where I'm at?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
I have. Complacency can sit in if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you combat that?
Oh, man. I think I think it depends on what it is. I'll use my health, for example. There was a lot of complacency with me, the person, in terms of health, and there was too many excuses on why I wasn't working out or why I chose this meal over this one. And it's still a journey that I'm on, and I hope that journey never ends. I hope I'm physically able to continue that journey for many, many years to come. But I think fear is what snapped me back to reality, with some not so good news or some test results, blood work from a doctor. And it was like, bro, you're in your mid-30s. You got to shake some stuff up. If you continue doing what you're doing, 10 years from now, it ain't going to be good. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to walk Remy down the aisle one day. I need to be there for grandkids. Landon's going to need me to help him move into his first place. Like, I start going through all that stuff, and I'm like, again, how embarrassing would it be when, hey, why can't you just ask your dad? Oh, he's not able.
Mm-hmm.
Holy hell, no. I never want to be in that spot. And we know one day that's going to happen. That's such is life. But not when I'm in my 40s or in my 50s or 60s. I, hope and pray. And, it's funny because Rob and I have been friends for a long time, and we have never worked out together until last year because I always had excuses. It's too early. The drive's too far. I can't do that. I can't do this. Whatever. I work out at home. No, I didn't. I might have moved a little bit, but it wasn't like workout. Mm-hmm. And then one morning, me and a handful of others, I know you've talked about it on here, we showed up at Planet Fitness, and I was like, oh, here we go. And honestly, I fell in love with it. I did. And I'm proud to say that the last 2 times I've been to the doctor, and the effort is definitely paying off. Everything was green. Everything was in the good.
Yeah. That's such a good feeling when they're like, oh, what are you doing? Keep doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still a little pissed saying I'm close to a gym. I miss it.
I know. It's so sad. I am really sad about that. Me, her, and Dane we went to another gym this morning, training camp, and it was nice being able to get back to seeing the friends.
Jerk.
I am a jerk. Dude, I will say, there's been many fun moments that I've had with this man over here over the years, but
I'm holding back right now. Y'all know that, right?
I know. It is so hilarious that we were at the gym. It was Planet Fitness. This is one of my happiest moments.
I don't even know what you're
There's many of them, but we were on the treadmill. We're walking. It's like me, him, Eddie, Sean. There's probably more people in the picture, but we're walking. I think it was Family Matters came up on the TV up top. And I'm like, good old Family Matters. Look at that. Mark's like, oh man, that's such a good show. And Sean's like, what's that? And we're like, what? Like, just couldn't believe that he didn't know what that was. And so Mark took him on a monologue about what Family Matters was about. So then I think
I told him to leave.
It was upper body day, and we did the whole workout. And Mark, our final little exercise was we were doing push-ups across the room. And so you do a push-up, and then you can only move your hands the length of your hand. So like the heel of your hand would have to go to your fingertips, and then you do another push-up. And I was like, we're going to go over there. And it's probably 25 feet away or something like that across the room. So you got many push-ups ahead of you. And so we're kind of doing it side by side. And me and Eddie, I think, get done, and Mark and Sean are going. It was Sean, I think.
It was Sean, yeah.
Those two knuckleheads were going side by side. And then Sean started pulling away from old Mark. And I'm like, come on, Mark. You can't let him beat you. Come on, Family Matters.
Who won?
And Mark he's just like, heck no. And he just sped up and ended up beating him right there at the end. Sean was so upset.
No shame. This was at the end of upper body. I am gassed. Sean's gassed. We're doing knees to the floor push-ups. I have no shame. It's whatever. It's movement. It's all good. I was bleeding. My knees. I took the skin. I did. I took the skin off my knees, and I was bleeding down both legs. He was not beating me. If you ever want to see a different level, put me in a competition.
Make it a competition.
Somebody's going to bleed.
Maybe you.
I'm fine with that.
Mark is very competitive. I
don't know it.
Shoot. I feel like in every moment we could be walking down the hall, and if I start walking faster, he'll walk faster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If there's any type of competition, he's like, let's go. I don't care what it is. It could be balling up paper and throwing it across the room. He's like, I got you. Me and him did a little competition. He came to the CSR meeting one time when we were playing Minute to Win It.
Yeah.
And he came in there, and we had to stack cups. And neither one of us, I don't think you had ever done it before, but we recorded it. And you have to stack the cups up and then pull them back down. Or what? No, it was the index card. You had to pull it out. And I was like, I got this freaking fool over here. And then he ended up beating me, and I was not happy about that.
What did I do when I won?
I don't remember.
I slung the cups across the room.
Mark is next level competitive, but I feel like that's also played not an effect. I don't know what word it is. It's played a benefit for you throughout your life, and especially here at Morris-Jenkins, is like the competitive drive, the fire that you have. You want to be successful, not just for sake of being successful, but to provide for your family. And it sounds like even from where you were in the past when you first started working here all the way up to now, like you stayed grounded and not put your head in the clouds where it's like, oh, I can let off the gas here. Like you've kept your foot down the whole time. And I think that's led to many different examples of your success. So I know that none of us got climbed up the fence post on ourselves, on our own, but we've got placed up there. But it's seeing people seeing things in us, seeing things in you, and it's like this person needs to have an opportunity, and you've not wasted that.
Yeah, I think if you're the turtle, then I think you've by what I hear you saying here is you put yourself in a position to be picked up by the person.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're the turtle and you don't feel like you can even make it up to the fence, I'm just like back there, creeping.
We'll show you where the fence is.
Right. You've been the one who's like, no, I'm going to, that's where the competitiveness maybe too has probably played a part. It's like, no, I'm going to get to the fence first. If there's one person there that can pick up one turtle, then I'm going to put myself in the very best position to be picked up.
Yeah. And sometimes you might rush to the wrong fence post.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people need to hear is there's not one fence post. For a fence to be complete, there has to be a lot of fence posts.
Yeah.
And sometimes an individual's talents, their efforts, may be chasing their own fence post.
Mm-hmm.
And in the moment, you're like, well, why not me? But when you find your fence post, my God, be ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's an interesting concept that I don't know that a lot of people truly fully understand.
No.
Is there a particular fence post that you've seen either for yourself or for somebody else that we can give an example if somebody's like, what the heck is a fence post?
A lot of people, just from my experience, this isn't an assumption, they think to be more, do more. That means a title change. I'll just take service supervisor, for instance. It's, that person can fix an air conditioner very well. They're 9 seconds quicker on changing a capacitor. They're going to be a great supervisor. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to managing people, you're managing people. You're not managing a capacitor change out. I do feel that it is difficult for a lot of people to understand that every role, regardless of the organization, if that's your role, you can be a champion in that role. And if you're with the right organization and you're managed by the right people, they're going to recognize real quick that you bring value to whatever that role is, and you're going to get paid well for it. You're going to get paid well for your efforts.
Yeah.
I've learned that a lot of people think, if I was this title, here's how I would act. They're never going to get that title.
What do you think about titles?
I don't care about a title. I really don't.
Why not?
As a technician, when I had a tech ride with me, I wasn't a supervisor. I was a tech. But best believe that if you rode with me, number one, I'm going to question you. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to create scenarios that I would cut low voltage wires and say fix them just to give them, more experience. And I would report back as, hey, here's what's the good, here's not. Sometimes I'd let them run the service call, and then I would coach them after. A lot of people think, well, I got to be a supervisor to do that. Nope, no, you don't. If you see and know that an individual's behavior does not match up with the way we do things around here, have a conversation. Is it tough? Yeah, a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. But the more you do that and the more courageous you are in those moments, everybody involved is in a better situation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a title for that. To
Yeah.
pick up trash in the parking lot,
You don't have to be the janitor.
you don't have to be the janitor.
No.
To paper towel roll, I fill that paper towel roll up 27 times a week. I wash my hands a lot. If you know me, I don't like dirty hands. I don't want your germs either. But that paper towel roll, if it's empty or it's about to be empty, go grab a paper towel roll and put it on there. You don't have to be a janitor to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's conventional wisdom, right? Conventional wisdom teaches us that the only way to move up is to move up the ladder.
That's not true.
The proverbial ladder, to move up from this spot to this spot to this spot to this spot. And I do think that that's what I thought. And because in education, that is how it is. As you become a teacher, a facilitator, an assistant principal, a principal, and then maybe you go to some central office job. That's climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
And I've said this here before, I don't know if I would even be here today if I had stayed in the facilitator role, because that was the role that matched my talents perfectly. If I had stayed there and not thought that the next step had to be becoming an assistant principal, I would still be in that role, because that role was the role that motivated me. It fulfilled me. I was able to do what I was good at every day.
And I love the fact that you recognize that. I don't think people put a lot of time into reflecting on the parts of what they do every day that brings them energy and that fulfills them. And if more people did that, I think you would see more satisfaction in roles.
Yeah.
It pisses me off when somebody's like, oh, I can't do that. I'm just a blank. Nah, screw that. Are you a human? Are you breathing? Can you make choices? Are you curious? Do you have a little bit of courage? Yeah, if you match all those things, then go do it. Go be it. Embrace what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I do believe the world will be a better place. There's too many excuses. There's too many what ifs, maybe woulda, coulda, shoulda, woe is me. And that's just all bullcrap.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for the world to give you that. I mean, we've talked about that on here.
You'll be miserable for your entire life if you do that.
The be do have, it's like the world is not set up to give you anything. If you're waiting for something to have something else, you're just going to keep waiting.
Yeah. That's Zig Ziglar, by the way.
Yeah. Like there has to be something on your part. Doesn't magically appear.
Nope.
So you have to put yourself in a position to be able to do those things.
Yep.
The regret of looking back all those years of, I just wish I would have done that, will haunt you forever.
Yeah.
Might as well try it and figure out that it doesn't work and have that experience, or try it and figure it out it did work and thank yourself for doing it.
Yep.
I mean, it's just reality how it is.
So Jim Rohn goes, and I don't know how long we're going, but we're going. Is there a time limit?
Yeah, it ended 5 minutes ago, so
Whatever.
I hit stop. Just kidding.
What if it didn't record at all? Anyway,
it's happened before.
So Jim Rohn goes through this whole thing. It's like, when you start developing a stronger mindset, you are going to be hit with a whole lot of that ain't going to work, naysayers, so to speak. And there may be people you have good relationships with that don't have room in your life with a more positive mindset, because the sharper you are, the more determined you are, the farther you go in life, that crowd gets very thin. It does. It's very easy. Right now, I can go find 100 people that would love to sit and complain. I can probably go find 5 people right now that wants to have an elevated conversation and can actually engage in it, regardless of where we're at. This ain't MJ talk. This is people in general.
Yep.
Yep.
You got to keep those people around.
Yes.
100%. What is it? 12 pillars? I think you told me about 12 pillars originally because you'd work with your team. Yeah. Just the one chapter in there that he's talking about, your circle of friends, and the guy had been with his friends for years and they just drink beer and hang out and complain on the weekends. And the gentleman in the book essentially just asked him, like, if you're going to continue to grow yourself and elevate and do better, you've got to get rid of those friends. And he's like, we've been friends since we were kids. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Yep. You keep those people around you and you'll forever still be in the same spot. I know you were talking about Brandon earlier. He's had a drastic impact on my life. Yep. But just spending time with him every single day and hearing how he was thinking about things, the idea of being curious and his questioning ability, his tenacity, the fact that he would just pick things up and just go do it himself. Like, I observed that for years and I've seen what it's done for him, the people around him, his organization, his belief in people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that shaped my belief in people.
Absolutely.
And so recognizing the right people choosing the right people to keep around you has a massive impact on your mentality, your outcomes, and it can affect your financial status. It affects so many other things. The unfortunate part is when you have people around you and you don't realize the impact they're having on you, or you can't get rid of them. Like, I had one gentleman, I think I said on the podcast before, but I'm like, you need to cut those people out if they're dragging you down. He goes, what happens when they're your family? And I'm like, I don't have an answer for that.
You just make your time harder for them to get. Did that come out right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just ghost them a little bit.
Sure. They're down the hall.
Stop saying yes.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes back to in all of these situations is our need for self-preservation, our need to stay in a comfortable space. It's comfortable when I have these friends. It's comfortable when I'm complaining. It's comfortable. All of those things are comfortable. And our brain seeks comfort. It seeks ease because that doesn't set off any alarm bells that, sometimes it's hard for people to pick up a book and read a book, number one, because they may not have ever read a book before or since their school days. And so that's intimidating. And then sometimes people don't want to pick up and read a book because what if what I read in this book makes me question a lot of what I'm doing in life?
That's a good book then.
Or it is a good book. And people don't want to they don't want to come face to face with those thoughts. Yeah. It's easier to stay in self-denial in the comfort space than to push yourself outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I think you can find 100 people to complain and 10 people that want to push each other and have a real conversation.
And for the people listening, if you think books are hard to come by, Meredith, how many collections of books have I brought you to add to the library?
Yeah, from the Goodwill.
They're $1.79 or $1.89.
And a lot of them are titles that we already have in the library, which means
somebody believed in that book,
Yep.
bought it as a gift, it sat and collected dust, and ended up at Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes is 2% of your day. What if you spent 30 minutes dedicated to reading, learning, observing, being curious? What would that look like over the course of a year? It's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Mark, what did your time look like when you were in a truck? When you were in between calls?
Yes.
Going from one call to the other, what were you typically doing?
I was listening. Or talking. I did more listening to audiobooks than anything. And, there was a handful of people that would call, and it was the conversations that still happen today. Dispatch this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. And they'd be like, what are you running? Just a blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't feed into it. And that conversation would get pretty thin pretty quick because I was trying to be nice and I wasn't as direct then. I didn't want to answer the phone sometimes, depending on the individual. I could not wait. If dispatch gave me a 45-minute drive, great. I have 45 minutes to feed my brain. I didn't complain about drive times most of the time. When I went on night shift and it's midnight and I'm an hour and a half from home, there's a little bit of complaining.
Yeah.
Because I was ready for comfort.
Sure.
Called to bed. But I would if I had a 10-minute drive, I'd be upset. I know
I only have 10 minutes to grow myself or listen.
And that is a true statement. I'm not fluffing anything. There's no BS to it. I'd be like, dang. Number one, I got to pee. And number two, I only got 10 minutes to listen to this. And I may be in the middle of a good part, or I know that I need to go replay a part. It wasn't until I, probably about a year and a half in, 2 years into the field, where I started wearing a Bluetooth headset. And I would do one earbud in, and it wasn't to talk. I'm not a big talker on the phone anyway, but it was information. All this stuff is very easy to get access to. We have a library, everybody. You can go check some books out. If you want Audible, I got you.
Tell them, Meredith.
Mm-hmm. It's in the library. And not an episode goes by where I don't say that. 12 Pillars, it's in the library.
Mm-hmm.
No, I bought a lot of copies of 12 Pillars. I don't have any anymore because I gave them all out. Mm-hmm. But I walk by the library every single day. And it pains me that it stays as full as it is.
Mm-hmm.
The information's there.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely there.
It is amazing that information is so accessible and it's easy for people to get. I mean, heck, it's free here. Heck, you get paid to walk downstairs to go get a book. But how accessible it is and how often people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to maybe a lot of people assume that most of my learning or most of the learning from some individuals happens while they're here. No, we got day jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? a lot of this stuff happened at home. It happened, kids are in bed or Sarah's in bed. I'm staying up late and 5 o'clock in the morning. I was listening to Jim Rohn on the way in this morning. It was 5:15. I pulled out of my driveway, 5:15 a.m. And of course. Yeah.
Well, I think, I don't remember who said, maybe it was James Clear in Atomic Habits, but it's almost like you were saying about 30 minutes of your day is 2% of the day. It's like it has to be something that you can't say no to.
Yep.
How could I say no to listening to something for 30 minutes? I mean, if you can say no to that, then you are truly saying, I am not interested in working on myself at all. If I say no to going outside and doing a 30-minute walk in my neighborhood, when that's 2% of my day, then I'm saying no to my health. Yep. Like, it's like it has to be. And I think sometimes people think, oh, like reading a whole book, that's so daunting. But it's not reading a whole book. What you're doing is you're saying to myself 30 minutes a day. I don't even care. I wouldn't even care if people started at 10 minutes a day. I'm going to read 10 pages, period. Like making it something that's so small that you can't say no to it. Yeah. Till you get to the point where it's like, I want it more.
Yeah.
And then you read past the 10 pages because you want to, not because you have to.
Yeah. One observation that I've made over the past handful of years is, I'm always observing, I'm looking. Before a meeting starts, I'll say a tech meeting starts, and we're 10 minutes before. How many people sit in that room and they're not talking to each other, but I see sports articles and I see games and I see social media and they're doom scrolling. On Sunday, do y'all get the notification of your screen time report on Sundays if you have an iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
You don't?
I got off social media. I canceled that and.
Well, the screen time report gives you pretty much anything and everything you did.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually go back and look at it and it says, hey, your screen time was up X amount of minutes over the last week, if it's up due to audiobooks, phenomenal. If it's up due to YouTube usage and you're not watching other people play games or you're watching somebody catch a fish or whatever the case may be, but you were listening to Jim Rohn, man, how powerful would that be?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good self-check. I know we're running long. I'm going to shut up now.
No, you're good, dude. The social media piece, I had Instagram on my phone, and my wife said at one point, she's like, I just deleted it off my phone. And I'd done that in the past, and I put it back on my phone because I have that charity event I do every year.
Yeah.
And I've got to post, and I've got to stay in the loop of what's going on and all the mess. I could just do without it. And so once it ended, a couple weeks afterwards, I had a few more posts, and then I just deleted it off my phone again. And I get so much more stuff done. I can stay more focused. I'm more present with my family. I turn the notification on if I'm over 10 minutes on social media for it to send me a reminder. And it was so funny because the amount of times that came up and I just said, okay, and I kept on scrolling was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I just took that off.
It's like my daughter. YouTube limit? Psh.
I can't. But it keeps me more focused on what's going on. And just like you said, people are choosing to say yes to something, and they're also choosing to say no to something else. If I say yes to social media, I'm saying no to my family. If I say yes to, I'm going to drive down the road and I'm going to listen to the radio or news, then I'm saying no to bettering myself.
Yeah.
And I love what Jocko Willink says all the time, just with discipline. Like, it is not sexy.
Nope.
No one wants to do it. But when you choose to do it, especially when you don't, you continue to better yourself. And it doesn't feel like it in the moment, but I can guarantee you will be proud of yourself for waking up in the morning and going to the gym before work, choosing a healthier meal. No one's going to commend you for it. You have to do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you choose those things often enough, that consistency does pay off. But people are typically chasing the instant rush of now. I'm on social media, I'm getting my dopamine hit, I'm eating junk food, I'm choosing to sleep in the morning, even though when I hit snooze 4 times and then I go to work, I'm super tired when I get there. You have to be willing to choose the hard moments. Those are the ones that will make you great.
And let's keep it real. All this stuff doesn't happen for me 7 days a week, 24/7. It doesn't. There are pockets of time where, like Yellowstone, we're going to watch an hour worth of Yellowstone.
Sure.
I'm going to listen to some music. I might listen to a novel. I don't listen to a whole lot of novels. I'm probably not going to clean the garage this weekend or next or a couple weekends from now. So, but if you frame it up for the entire year and you have more days of discipline than not, you're going to set yourself apart from everybody else.
You may not clean out your garage, but what are you going to do that is discipline for you? It's a choice that someone else may not do.
Well, I could clean my garage and listen to some really good books.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You ruined my thought.
Got him.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Yeah.
Right?
Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just difficult in the moment, but it's worth it in the long run.
We ready to talk about music now?
I was about to say, well, we do have some questions for you, Mark.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Are you ready?
Rapid fire
That
questions.
never ends up being rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start. Fill in the blank.
Blank.
Morris-Jenkins is...
Morris-Jenkins is a place that allowed me to be 100% me. And it allows anybody coming in to be 100% them. Being genuine is I think, a big part of our culture. Being genuine is a big part of our success.
I like that, Mark.
You do.
That's why I said it.
Number two. What is something that people often get wrong about you?
Oh, they judge me by my RBF. That I'm serious, that I'm intimidating. I've heard people say, don't talk to Mark. He's scary. I'm far from all of those things. I will sit down with you. I will laugh with you. I will cry with you. I will listen to you. I will help you. But my help does diminish eventually if you don't help yourself.
Your help requires effort on their part.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Do you know one thing that I got wrong about you?
What?
I don't feel like I ever thought you had an RBF, but
I do. I hear it all the time.
I think that you care a whole lot more than you let on. Maybe.
Absolutely. I lose sleep.
Yeah.
Not because of things, but because of people.
I think that that's what I've learned as just as our relationship has grown is just because you're fast paced, and it's like we're good. It's like you're ready to move on to the next thing. Doesn't mean that you're not still thinking about what we just talked about or who we just talked. You're still thinking about it.
Yes.
That's one thing I think I got wrong about is your pace. So I think sometimes people can confuse the pace with the amount of brain power or the amount of thought time that it gets. But that's not true.
I agree with you. I do care a lot.
Yep, you do. Okay, what's the last show you binge watched and loved?
Oh, the last show. Loved?
Yeah.
Or tolerated?
Loved. We don't want to put out tolerated series into the universe.
So the last show that now binge watch for me is it will probably take me 3 to 4 days to watch an hour episode. So
Okay.
that's my level of binge watch. The last one that I absolutely loved was a show that I don't know what network it was on originally, but it's called Warrior, and it's on Netflix now. There's 3 seasons, I believe. It probably took me 6 months to watch all 3 seasons. I hope they do a reboot, but it's basically, I believe it's the late 1800s, early 1900s, I don't really remember, where you had Chinese settlers coming into a developing San Francisco. And there was turf wars and all kinds of stuff. I like martial art movies. I'm okay with subtitles. I watch subtitles on everything now. I have to.
It's getting hard to hear it.
No, it's just You got so many
Back to that trick
British.
knee.
It's that trick knee and them trick ears,
It was
man.
Game of Thrones, man. It was Game of Thrones that started that for me because I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
But no, I thought Warrior was a phenomenal show, and I hope that Netflix does a reboot of it.
Nice. I like that. I'm so glad I get to ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
Give us a concert you'll never forget.
Oh man,
My music man over there.
a concert that I'll never forget. Number one, Adele. Sarah and I went and saw Adele.
In Vegas, right?
Yeah, it was in Vegas. And oh my gosh. Like, I'll never forget that show. Number one, what a voice. Number two, the level of excitement that Sarah had leading up to it, and just even in the moment. If you've never been at a concert or a sporting event with Sarah, she brings a wonderful level of energy that is just makes the whole experience better. But yeah, Adele's one I'll never forget. Believe it or not, Harry Styles. That was another one. It was actually pretty good.
Harry.
And seeing Matchbox 20 in 1999 I was 13 years old with maybe 500 people. That was my very first concert.
But that was cool.
Yep.
Dang.
Some people are like, who's Matchbox 20?
Yeah. I saw Vertical Horizon played at Catawba
Oh, wow.
when I was there. It was like our spring fling. So it was just like in the gym at Catawba. This was like before they really hit it big, but same kind of deal. It was amazing. Like such a small venue and whatever. It was really cool.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What?
What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal? I'm pretty simple when it comes to food. I like hibachi.
Good choice.
I enjoy where they cook in front of you, but I like it when it's like express and I'm on my way. I just that blend of the chicken and the rice and the carrots and the shrimp sauce. I don't know. I think I could eat that every day. Mexican food's right there with it though. Yep, Mexican food.
Do that sushi place right next door.
It's pretty good.
Mark turned me on to that. I think about that all the time now. I was never really a big sushi person prior because only for the fact that I never feel full when I walk out. But that place is $15 and it's unlimited.
Rob eats more than me. Can you believe that?
Last time I had 2 rolls.
You had 3.
Two times ago I had my very first time. I had 2 rolls, and I was like, that's pretty good. And then this last time I said, screw it, I'm getting a third. Mark just watched me eat the last one.
So I know that I'm not good for 3 rolls. I could probably do 2.5, but they charge you 50 cents per piece that you leave, and I ain't willing to pay that, so I just settle for 2 rolls.
And you can't share. I told Mark to feed me some, but he wouldn't do it.
No, I'm about to poke him in the eye.
You just chopsticks straight across the table.
I still love the reason I smile before I ask you that question is because of exactly what Rob just said. I think about that all the time.
So
I know
good.
everybody in this room right now.
I'm hungry.
Just thinking,
Y'all, it is 11:42. My brain turns straight to lunch around 9 a.m. I don't eat breakfast. And we eat dinner relatively early. I did have a
it's been hours since you ate.
Seriously.
little bowl of cereal around 7:45 last
Heck,
night.
that was dinner or that was post-dinner snack?
That was dessert.
What
Cereal can be dessert.
Are you a Lucky Charms kind of guy?
Oh man, this was like a vanilla almond crunch Food Line brand. It's called Be Well. I'm like, I will after I eat this.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I will be well. Mark, give us a snapshot of an ordinary moment in your life that brought you great joy.
Ordinary?
Yep.
Y'all asking these big old questions.
We just literally came off what your favorite meal is, Mark. How?
So the way I'm interpreting this, something that happens often.
Yeah, an
for a lot
everyday
of people.
moment that
Yep.
gives you great joy.
Again, I told y'all, I talk about my wife all the time. I'll send Sarah a text whenever I'm headed. If she's not working, I'll send her a text. I'm headed home. I'll just say, on my way. And she responds back, yay, with an exclamation point. Makes me feel good. And when I get home, over the past couple of years, I've made a point to end phone calls before I pull in my driveway. I'll have to park up the road sometimes because when I don't want to be in my driveway and have my daughter or my son. It's mostly Remy now because, Landon's like, "What's up, bro?" I never want her to run out of the house, come to my truck, and me tell her, "Hold on a minute."
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be fresh when I get home for them.
I have experienced this many times.
We've
been on the phone with Mark, and he's like, I hear, all right, I got to go. He's pulling in his driveway, and I'm like, okay, see you later, bye.
Yeah, it's a good boundary.
It is good.
It is. It's a good boundary. Okay, last one.
Yeah.
What is one thing you are deeply grateful for right now?
Oh, man.
How apropos with Thanksgiving being tomorrow.
I do love Thanksgiving. Family and just people in my life.
People helping people.
Yeah.
That's what Mark do.
That's right. It's all about the people.
I could say like toothbrush, toothpaste, hand sanitizer.
Triple ply toilet paper.
No, we go Scott single ply. Let's roll.
No, man.
Yep.
Susie just bought some single ply the other day. I gave her such a hard time. Babe, I've used half the roll.
No. When the zombie apocalypse happens, what are you going to do?
I'm good then.
I'm more ready than you are using my single ply.
I
Let's
ain't
go.
too worried about it then.
Doing
Grab a
preparations
hold of that
now.
tree and let it roll.
With your cloud pillow toilet paper.
Shut up.
All right. I don't know how we're going to do this song
What do you mean?
situation.
Let's just talk about it.
Okay.
They're in no particular order.
Do we just read them?
To preface our crowd here, Mark is a music connoisseur.
And as anyone who listens knows, we do a 5-song playlist, and
Mark's in
Mark,
his 19.
with his with his zero regulatory self,
No
sent
rules.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I've got about 14 more.
Okay, I'm just gonna read them. Ready?
What's the first one?
Selena by the Avett Brothers.
You said it wrong. Solana.
I usually screw something up in this stage anyway.
I didn't mean to call you out like that. I
It's
apologize.
okay. It's really okay.
Solana by the Avett Brothers, yes. So the Avett Brothers, if you don't know who they are local here to Concord. They have an album called Emotionalism that Solana is on that album. And the reason I picked that song is Landon, when he was an infant, oh my gosh, kid did not like to sleep. So it would be rocking chair. I'd have him up. Sarah and I would take turns. And I went through the ABCs, I love you, you love me, Barney, all these songs. And then one day I started singing Solana. And I sang that song to him every single time, trying to console him. And honestly, it would calm him down.
That's cute.
It's a good song.
That's real cute. Your second one, I can get down with this. My Own Prison by Creed.
Yep.
Sing it.
Courtesans. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
So, Creed, when I was able, my dad, I talked about him earlier, the most patient individual you ever meet, would take me to Media Play. Look it up.
Media Play.
Look it
Oh,
up.
Wait, what's
that's a
media-
flashback.
Is this like where you would buy
It's a
CDs?
It was the store.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any electronics.
Media Play. And I would look, because you couldn't listen. We didn't download anything. You couldn't stream it, preview it, whatever. And I would just look at all the album covers. And I'd be in there a while. And I bought Creed, My Own Prison. It was one of the first CDs that I bought. And I listened to that thing on repeat. Sony Walkman, on the bus, head on the seat in front of me. It's 1,000 degrees because she never turned the heat off. And listening to Creed. And if I'm doing the dishes or I'm cleaning some stuff up, sometimes Creed hits the Alexa. And I just go to town.
We were at Sam's gym, and there was a gentleman in there, Agility Joe was his name, and apparently Creed was his favorite song. So Mark was there one day, and he was there one day. She wears a coat of color. They're in there playing the songs, and then these two are headbanging in there. Oh man, good old Creed.
Yeah.
I don't think a single other person at the gym appreciated that, but
I built a playlist one time. Sam's like, hey, I said, let me build a playlist. And I built a playlist. And she announced that if you don't like the music, say something to Mark. I had like 6 people go, I love that playlist. I can build a playlist. If you need a custom playlist, it's by Cagle. Just come see me. I got you.
Customs by
the
Cagle.
entertainment director.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash.
Yep. So one thing I didn't say with the Avett Brothers, they're phenomenal storytellers in their music. There's not a lot of catchy choruses and riffs. I mean, it's just storytelling. There is no better storyteller than Johnny Cash in terms of music. It had to be circa 2000, 2001 where I really discovered Johnny Cash and I dove head in. Folsom Prison Live is the version that I prefer. Man, I don't care where we're at, what we're doing. If that comes on, I'm singing. If we're doing karaoke, I'm singing that song. Mm-hmm. I even have lyrics from that song tattooed on me.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
I did turn that one up in the car when it came on.
All right, whatever. Go ahead.
Lean on Me by Bill Withers.
Lean on me. I'm not a singer. That's my shower song.
I like how you have Lean on Me by Bill Withers followed closely by Got the Life by Korn.
Bill Withers. Do you know his other big song?
I assume you're going to tell me. I think I'm about to find out.
Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone. That's classic R&B. Bill Withers, love it. I love the message of that song because it's timeless.
Yep,
it's
such
so
a
true.
classic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next one is Got the Life by Korn.
Yep.
This.
Got the life.
Get your boogie on.
I just can't handle it when it gets into the like the frantic piece. I tried to listen to this one. I really did.
That was pretty tame on what I listen to sometimes. I'm a metalhead at heart. So Korn, again, aging myself, my dad would leave for work at 6 a.m., which means I had to be up, ready, fed, teeth brushed. He needed to see me in full school. Yes, you're good.
Bye, Dad.
Yes.
Then you turned on Korn.
No, I would turn on MTV.
Yes.
And I would turn on MTV, and that was my time. I'm by myself for 30 minutes till I had to go to the bus stop. And when I first saw that video, I'm like, what is this? I've never heard of Korn. I'm probably 12. I'm probably 13 years old at the time. I'm like, I was amazed by it. And Limp Bizkit was starting to take off.
Oh, yeah.
Rammstein, Marilyn Manson had some videos. They played all the heavy stuff. And I was like, just glued in. And I watched that video every single morning. And then I'd come home and watch TRL with Carson Daly, Total Request Live. And that video was number 3. And it was called The Corn Spot for months. They never went to 4. They never went to 2. They stayed at number 3. And then Media Play, I got the album. The first 12 tracks is silence. If you don't have the CD, you don't know what I'm talking about. There's like 15 seconds of silence on track 1, track 2, and I'm like, what the crap is this? It's broken. And then number 13 hits, and I think that song's called It's On, and that whole album just takes you on a ride.
Oh boy, it would definitely take me on a ride.
Yeah, get your boogie on.
I feel like my
Get your
blood
boogie
pressure.
on.
I feel like my heart rate goes up. Okay, did I do that one? Doesn't matter, I'll do the next one. In a Sweater, Poorly Knit.
Yep.
By Me Without You.
Yep. Again, another phenomenal story. Me Without You is kind of indie rock. They have a lot of spiritual influences into their music, and there's a a lyric in that, I might quote it wrong, it's like, the trap I laid for you seemed to have caught my leg instead. And just thinking about that visual of, if you're trying to deceive somebody or you're trying to do wrong by somebody, you end up getting burned. You know, the trap I laid for you seemed to have caught my leg instead. I just love that song.
Mm-hmm. I'd never heard about them.
Sounds like you need to get a new tattoo.
Oh.
No, I'm tatted out.
Next one is Monument and Case by Ash.
The Showdown.
In Ash by The Showdown. Yeah.
Yep. So, again, probably a band a lot of people don't know. The Showdown. There's some good old country boys from Middle Tennessee, and they bring a lot of influences from Metallica, Pantera, Me Without You, lyrically. Again, just some heavy stuff. That song if I was ever a wrestler, that would be my intro song, and I would mow down everybody in front of me.
Okay, Mark. Well, I think the more important question here is, what would be your wrestler name?
Just Mark. That's all you need.
Just Mark?
Yeah.
Or the fact that this is also another thing that I appreciate about Mark, is that we're just talking about this, and then he's like, if I were a wrestler, this would be my intro song. It's like, whoever even
He's thought about that one.
I'm about to break his mic stand right now, just thinking about it. I'm going to kick your door in.
Okay, and the last one, and as I shared with you guys, the only one I listened through from beginning to end, is The Hardest Essay Ever by That Mexican OT.
So I just discovered that Mexican OT, and actually it was Eddie and Driggers. They were down there and they were talking about it. And Austin, when Eddie was like, "You want to see Austin sing?" I was like, "Yeah." And he started playing That Mexican OT, and Home Dude knew every word, and he went straight West Coast, Texas. I'm like, who is this guy? He just morphed in front of me, Austin. I was like, let me give it a listen. That song, there's a lot of terrible lyrics. I'm not quoting any of them. It just, he don't give a crap. Mm-hmm. I love it. Is that the last one on there?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, you dropped off DNA by Kendrick Lamar. That was my number one listen song too.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 2023. I probably listen to that song more than anything. Same vibe.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother.
Yeah, I don't know how to encapsulate whatever. I don't know how to.
I don't know how to say any of those lyrics.
Yeah.
All right, so our final question then is, what does this playlist say about Mark Cagle?
Oh, you never know what you're going to get.
That is very true.
That is.
I feel like that wraps up this entire interview.
That is.
Yeah.
So true.
I feel like I always know I can walk
Forrest
in.
Gump.
I can walk into Mark's office and just give him like a 5-second look, and I'm like, I know what kind of Mark I got today. There's some days I can like sit down and have a chat for a little while, and there's other days that I come in and I may mess with him, and then I get tackled on the floor. So you never really know what might happen in there.
I've seen some tackling before going on there.
He's either tackling me, Randy is getting tackled. Mark's like, watch this, and then he'll go around the corner. You never really truly know, but if you spend enough time with him, you 10-second look, 5-second look, you know what's about to go down.
Yep. I do like that. You never know what you're going to get.
You really don't. You really don't.
If you're having a rough day and you need to spice things up, just go to Mark's office.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's standing outside his door.
That's right.
That's why the paint's missing on my door jamb.
Yes.
Or door
Yes.
frame.
Yep.
Yes.
Waiting on a little Mark Spice.
That's truly a stamp
Little
of
Mark, that's
approval
what my
around
family
here.
called me.
Low Mark.
I'm a junior.
I feel like that's a stamp of approval. If you have paint missing from your door, it's a
Yep.
pretty good thing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
You can always shut your door.
What else y'all want to talk about?
Well, ever since we brought up lunch, I'm done.
Oh, I'm starting to sweat over here.
We're going to go get sushi.
I know.
I ain't feeling sushi today.
What are you feeling?
Not really sure.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yep. Post episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, we really, really, really appreciate you, Mark, for being here, for listening, for being you, for us never knowing what we're going to get. Thank you so much for taking some time to be with us here today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was as always, enlightening. I love the conversations where we can kind of put the day-to-day to side, right? And then just really kind of talk about some other things. So thanks for being here.
I've enjoyed it.
Yep. I'm sure we could probably talk for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. We hope you've enjoyed our next to last podcast for the year, co-hosted podcast with Mark. Tune in 2 weeks. Maybe, I don't know, that'll be up to Corey. When Corey lets us release these suckers over the holiday break, so before the new year comes. We appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget to follow us on Apple or Spotify so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace, love, and Easy Does It.
We good?
Appreciate y'all.